Everybody, peace. Thank you for tuning in to the Sorry to Bother You show. Wherever or however you're listening, we are so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Kashawn Cottle, and I'm joined here today by the one, the only, the magnificent Mr. Dre Pennington.
What up, y'all? How we doing? How we doing? We good? We all good? What's up, y'all? How we doing?
Dre, how you feeling, man?
Well, I'm feeling great. Got a couple
Oh
championships. Yeah.
man. Those
Ah,
for those who are that are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Dre is currently wearing his unfortunately 2021-2022 Golden State Warriors NBA championship hat. He's wearing it, rocking the team right now.
this man said, unfortunately, that is crazy.
Listen. It's so odd that you're a Golden State fan, even though you're from Missouri and you lived in like three different countries in like seven different cities in America. I don't know how you ended up at Golden State, but hey man, if you like it, I don't love it, but it's cool. It's
Uh,
all good.
oh my God! Look, shout out to We Believe Warriors. When I was younger, I got to watch them play. That was the first team I watched, and I was like, "Hey, they're fun. I like this." I've been a fan ever since.
I will say this though, you have ever since I've known you, you have been consistent with being
Yeah,
a Warriors fan. A quick question though, before I know we got a long show, great show today, but
yeah.
do you think the Golden State Warriors team, the We Believe team with Monte Ellis and Baron Davis and Stack and Matt Barnes and Al Harrington, do you think that team could have contended with this current Golden State dynasty?
Um, I don't know if they because there's nobody like Curry on their team, so I will say that. And I think that they got better coaching, even though they had was it Don Nielsen that was their head coach that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, um, they even though they like that, and then I love Stack and I love all that because Stack is low key one of a fun player to watch. But and like I really love Monte Ellis. I was so sad when we traded him away, but um, I don't know if they have anybody that could shoot like Clay and Steph on that team.
Yeah, I don't know, no doubt about it. But that We Believe team was actually really long, man. They had Clazer coming off the bench. I said had Matt Barnes and Stack and Al Harrington. That was a really long team.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one thing I will say about them is they would have been great in this era to think that uh like everything's a switch. You can switch 1 through 5 and they're all fine. Like they'd have been fine.
Yeah, yeah,
So they were just a little ahead of their time, I would think.
yeah. They were. I'd agree with that, brother. I definitely agree with
Yeah.
that. But Dre, I want to do a mental check-in. How you feeling mentally, bro?
Mentally, I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm getting better each day. Physically, I'm getting a little. At first, I was getting a little frail. I had to make that move, and then I got back in that gym, and I was like, ooh, started can't fit shirts no more. Shoulders got bigger. I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm like, yeah, there you go. How about you?
The perks of being 6'4" and
Like
210
you
just
said. How you feeling, bro? How we been?
Oh, bro, I'm amazing, man. I actually just got back from vacation 3 days ago, man. I went down to Alabama to visit my dad's side of the family, and it was tranquil, man. It was relaxing, just being able to separate from everything and not have to worry about work or basketball or anything. Just really being able to unwind and disassociate from everything was, first of all, it was necessary, and it was very therapeutic, man. And I was talking to my cousin down there, bro, and I was telling her that it's interesting that whenever I go on vacation, specifically with family, and I return from the vacation, how unbothered and how like almost aloof I am because it makes me going on vacation with family makes me realize how important family is, and it makes me realize that is the most important thing, in this life, and everything else that I used to stress about or worry about, I don't worry about it anymore because I realize it's not as important as I once thought it was.
Yeah. Just getting that. you finally got to let you, as we would like to say, your armor down and then get into a peaceful place.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, man. Like just being able to take everything off and just relax, man. Plus,
Yeah,
we was in the country too, man. So you know how I sent you the pictures how that was looking, man.
yeah,
So
it's amazing. Look great out there.
it was amazing, bro. It was great. And now I'm back and I feel a lot better, feel rejuvenated, man. So I'm ready to get back into it, man.
We love to hear it.
Yeah. But Dre, we've got a lot on the show today, man. We've got some free agent moves, obviously, a lot of free agent frenzy going around the NBA. Your boy KD and Kyrie are still making waves, man, even when they're not playing. We're gonna be talking about our favorite moves, the most surprising move, and what we expect to happen in Brooklyn. The summer league. I know you're a big savant, man, when it comes to scouting these young guys. So we're gonna get
Man,
you, we're gonna get your thoughts on what you've seen so far from the summer league. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of news coming out of the WNBA. So we got that to wrap out the show. But Dre, let's get right into it, man. Free agent frenzy. This time of year is always big for basketball in the NBA because of the free agency, man. So Dre, what has been the most surprising move for you in free agency so far? Whether it be trades or signings?
um, I think the first off, I'm just gonna say this: the Brad Bill opt-in was very surprising to me.
The
I
opt-in, okay.
so Brad Bill signing back on. So if you asked me last year after like at this time, does Brad Bill sign? And I'm like, no, no way. That's like I feel as though he wants to leave. I think he wants to go. But after like watching so much stuff and like kind of like hearing things about him, um, it kind of makes sense why he want to stay. And also a very big incentive of why he will want to stay is 250 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of understand. And then I think the Westbrook not being traded off is also very surprising.
Hmm.
Even I would think that since he has a contract that is a 1 year expiring contract,
Yeah.
um, someone will want to take it and just get it off their hands. So it opens up a lot of money for them. I'm shocked a little bit that no one would want to take it, which I'm surprised about.
Yeah. Dre, let's talk about that Russ Westbrook run. So he opted in right first $43 million for to make $43
Yeah.
million this year. And what is the Lakers' expectation going into the season with Russ Westbrook opting into that first year?
Look, they need to go ahead and just say it. They're not as talented as what people are making them out to be. I think they're shooting for the what is it? Shooting honestly to become like a big playoff team. They're very mid-level playoff team. I would say that. Even with Anthony Davis and LeBron, they just don't have the pieces around them to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talk about possibly trading Russ Westbrook. Where could you trade him to, or what could you trade him for in order to get compensation? And who's going to pick up that contract?
Like I said, any team, I would think like a younger team. So like teams that are trying to get some like some space open for another free agency next year that may be big. Um, so like teams like that, and then I'm thinking more so teams that are trying to get players out so they can tank.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So that's how I'm looking at it. Um, another one, hmm, but I don't know who specifically would want to just like I said, we know that the next draft should be a really, really good one. But I don't know who specifically wants to tank the hardest, like to get those top 3, 4 picks next year.
A team that comes to mind is Oklahoma City and,
Yeah,
and Sam Presti, but the Oklahoma City is they've got some great talent with Giddy and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know if you want to bring in a Russell Westbrook and possibly stunt the growth and development of those guys because you bring in Russell Westbrook and like you said already, Dre, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you a playoff spot, but it does guarantee you numbers like fan attendance
yeah.
and media, you know. clout, but
Yeah,
it doesn't guarantee you success in terms of winning.
yeah. So I don't know. Oh, another one. I have to ask this question. This is a real question. Do you feel as though Jalen Brunson got paid for what he was worth, or did he overpay with the Knicks?
I'm glad you brought that up, Trey. I actually do. I want to do. Let's talk about this one for a little bit. So, first of all, let's bring up the fact that Brunson's father is on the coaching staff in New York. Yeah, yeah. And what did he get, Trey? He got 4 years, 120
One-
million,
120.
120.
Hey, get your money, young man. Get your money. Get your
A-
bread.
Absolutely. And he's the first player to get that much money in a contract despite not making an all-star game or making an all-star team in his career.
That's crazy.
Right. And he talk about showing up at the right time and performing at the highest level at the perfect time in the playoffs. He he picked the perfect time to show what he's capable of doing. And if we just talk like basketball for a second, him and his team talked about how his development was stunted because of playing with Luca. And you already know when you play with someone that's ball dominant like Luca, you're forced to score in like 3 or 4 seconds. And you don't really get space to show what you're capable of doing in terms of your offensive creativity. But also, when you play with Luca, it's easier to score because the entire defense and the help side is shaded to Luca. So you get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. So I want to see how Jalen Brunson is able to, you know, perform when being the primary ball handler, being the primary scoring option
Uh,
in New York.
yeah, I agree with that. But I think one of the things that really showed this playoff run, especially their deep playoff run this year, was that he can score and he can be not, I wouldn't say a number one guy, but like I think he could like one of your main guys because he was getting busy. Oh my lord! And it was crazy that like I was watching him play. Actually, I've watched him for like the last like I want to say year or so. I watched a clip on him, and someone was just like, "This guy's way better than what you think," and it was just showing he looks like a New York guard that has like the shiftiness and everything.
Mm-hmm.
A New York guard that has like that has like I want to say the basics that knows the basics.
Yeah, yeah, he's extremely another Villanova guy. Played under Jay
Yeah,
Wright, very fundamental. And if you notice, and remember we talked about this, I want to say 2 years ago, man. These Villanova guards like DiVincenzo, Archidiacono, Josh Hart, even Brunson now, those guys are really good at playing in the low post and the mid post for undersized guards, man. They have great footwork down there. And so you saw with Brunson, he's able to get, use his footwork and his body to get into the defender and use a lot of ball fakes and pump fakes and finish under the defenders. And you see guys like that are, really efficient like that. So just add on to what you said.
man. Yeah, hey man, I'm happy for him. He got his money's worth. That is, whew, oh my lord.
But and Dre and I'm so glad that a player and a guard like Brunson got paid because it shows that undersized players can be successful in the league. But we have to ask this question, man. Can he be the best player on a championship winning team?
Well, I would say for right now, I don't know. I don't know if I would, but the Knicks aren't even thinking about a championship at this point. They're thinking about let's just make the playoffs or the play in because they are a I don't usually like saying this about a lot of organizations, but they are a terrible organization. I think their ownership is not that good, but they're going to make money regardless because they're in New York.
Mm,
So I
okay.
would never sell either.
Are they a playoff team with Jalen Brunson?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. I think I got to see what other acquisitions they make for their team. I know that Julius Randle, they may be trying to get rid of him.
Hmm.
And then I think is Tibbs still their head coach?
Yes. Yes.
I thought they would drop Tibbs because I don't think the players are really gelling with him now, as much.
Yeah. But Tibbs is Tibbs is almost like Jimmy Butler in a sense, man. You get about 3 or 4 good years, and then you run because you're so intense. You're so intense. You kind of wear out your welcome, man, with the people that you're surrounded by. But the thing with Jimmy, he's in a great system now in Miami, who with guys that are like minded and follow suit. But
Yeah.
I want to just last question with the Jalen Brunson deal. What is it going to take for New York to justify Jalen Brunson getting that deal?
I think if they make the playoffs this year and he's like a big reason why, he 100% deserved that deal.
Gotcha. So playoffs, making the playoffs.
Making the playoff. Well, think about it. They made the playoff twice in the last 10 years, I want to say.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it will be 2 or 3 times, twice, and nope, yep, twice in the last 10 years.
Twice in the last 10 years. That's for a big market team that everyone knows and could literally overpay everyone and be just fine doing it. That is that's ridiculous and kind of unheard, I would say unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw that they don't have the best success in the draft, whether that's be because of Phil Jackson or whoever's in the GM at the time. But that's neither here nor there, man. But
Yeah.
so making the playoffs is what it'll say.
I think that's I think making the playoffs.
Okay, gotcha. My favorite move, Dre. My favorite move of the offseason, Jonty Murray getting traded to Atlanta. Thumbs up. Getting traded to Atlanta.
Hey man, look, DeJounte was I don't know what it was about the Spurs that I think he was a great fit for them, but they weren't gonna I don't know if they were gonna make the playoffs in the West, the loaded West, but with the Hawks, they went up in my book. And on top of that, I'm gonna say this. I think if they can somehow sway and get Ayton, hey man, watch out for the Hawks. That might be a dangerous one.
That's actually a good point, Dre. So let's talk about where the Hawks are right now. So they traded away Gallinari and how many picks? 3 picks?
I think 2 or 3 picks, yeah.
Okay, to San Antonio for DeJounte Murray. And they also traded away Kevin Huerter, their other starting guard. And so now they have a little bit of cap space to go along with DeJounte Murray. That's a good point, talking about DeAndre Ayton. What would it take to get DeAndre Ayton for Atlanta?
Well, he wants a max deal, but I think in the market, someone's going to pay him. I don't know. I highly, highly doubt it'll be the Suns. I don't think the Suns are going to pay him, but I could see the Hawks paying him, and they kind of trade away Capella
and John Collins.
Maybe Capella and Collins. I think with Ayton you make up for. I think Ayton make up their production.
Well, if they were to do a sign and trade, I would imagine they'd have to throw in DeAndre Hunter as well.
I don't think Hunter. I think maybe a pick because no, the Suns don't care about a pick right now. They're trying to win. But I don't see how they're trying to win if they're trading away, if they're not even going to re-sign Ayton. So I think the Capella one because I truly believe that Suns don't necessarily believe in Ayton. They think that any big can do that can get their production. So I think you give them Capella, you give them another I would say Hunter maybe, and see if you can keep Collins because they probably want a wing defender.
Yeah,
I think and I think they'll be good with that.
Right. Yeah, I can see that, Dre. And let's go back to the main piece of this trade, DeJounte Murray. So DeJounte Murray's 6'4", Trae Young is 6 foot on a good day.
Maybe.
Maybe. DeJounte was 1 assist and 2 rebounds away from averaging a triple-double, while Trae Young was third in the league in scoring, but also did lead the league in turnovers. Uh, we always talk about, even with Jalen Brunson, we talk about small guards being successful. Does this trade indicate that Trae Young can't be the primary ball handler on a championship level team, or does it just say that, or does it just show that the lack of defensive prowess that Atlanta?
Yeah, their lack of defense really killed them this year. I think the year before that, when they had that Eastern Conference Finals run,
Mm-hmm.
it really helped them out. Like their defense was actually really really good. They had, they were healthy also, and
Yep.
so they were really good. Like they held they held together a lot, and defensively they were like, it was kind of hard to get in the paint and or get a shot off. But their lack of defense this year, they have no like defensive focus, I would say, either. So
Mm-hmm.
they really like struggled. So I think with that, DeJounte Murray, who also I think was the lead leader, was he one of the top five leaders in steals this year?
Yeah. Yep. Sure was.
And was also was he in the running for defensive player of the year?
Um,
Or did he get an all defensive this year
he made it. He made the all
on any
defense.
of them?
He did make all
Okay.
defense team. Yeah.
So I think that this bolsters him even more. So I think this helps him out a lot.
Yeah. So does this take away pressure for Trae Young in terms of
Yeah.
primary score? Okay.
Yeah. I think it helps him out. Only thing I'm worried about is how does DeJounte Murray's numbers look and how does Trae Young's numbers look now that they have another guard that can also handle the ball.
I what's gonna happen, Dre, is you put DeJounte off the ball. The reason you put DeJounte off the ball is because Trae Young is a better creator with the ball than DeJounte is. But what needs to happen is DeJounte needs to have the ability to shoot, because he's a capable shooter, but he's not someone that's going to come off pin downs and staggers and
No, no,
flare
no.
screens. No. But the reason I want DeJounte off the ball is because Trae Young is better at creating for everybody. And the defense still gravitates towards Trae, even when he has the ball in his hand. So now DeJounte gets easier shots. Because if you put Trae Young off the ball, the defense is still going to shift towards Trae. And it's still going to be difficult for Trae even to come off pin downs and staggers, one because he's smaller, and one because, like we said, the defense is still going to shift towards him. So I will still
Yeah.
put DeJounte off the ball.
Okay. I feel it.
So what do you think this makes Atlanta a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference?
Top four teams is Philly. Um, what was it Philly?
Milwaukee,
Now Milwaukee. Can't say
Miami.
Brooklyn. We don't know what's going to happen with them. Miami. Uh, yeah. I think this could. I think this puts them in there
Chicago.
with them. Yeah, but Chicago's lack of defense and being able to be healthy really killed them. So I don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah. That is a team that's been quite quiet, really, really quiet
Yeah.
in free agency. But uh Dre, I do want to talk about a move that's it's been a head scratcher for me, man. I just can't quite wrap my head around it. Your boys in Minnesota, man, they traded away Pat Bev and 5 picks for Rudy Gobert. For Rudy.
Look, they got Ant Man hot. All right. I know Ant thinking like, well, might not be my time here. This might have been my last couple of years. No, no, no. But on the serious stuff, they needed some type of defensive like shape, like defensive anchor.
Mhm.
But I just don't get it when you already have Cat, who is a liability on defense, who struggles with perimeter defense. Why would you get another guy who struggles with perimeter defense?
Mm. Yeah.
And no offense to Rudy Gobert, I think great talent. I think he's actually really a really good defensive anchor. like in the middle, like sit like help side and on bigs. I think he's great, and I think he contests everything at the top, and like he really changed a lot of people's shots. But when you go, we've seen it now for the last what 2 3 years. People go small ball five, and they just pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, get him, and then they cook. So it's like that's really, really like that's something that's really, really rough for him, and it's something that Cat already struggles with. So why get a guy who already struggles with it? So I don't get it too much, but I think they're banking on other guys to kind of step up and they become better defensively. But for everyone who thinks that their starting five, anybody who's thinking that their starting five could be another starting five in the league, uh, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know
definitely.
about that.
Dre, you're being extremely nice, by the way. Let me just say this right now. You're being extremely nice when it comes to Rudy, man. I know, I get it. Like,
He's good.
Dre, 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 Dre. Look at it. You're being really nice to Rudy, and I get it. You want to be really PC with Rudy because that's your boy. But I'll just call a spade a spade. Rudy has been atrocious these past 2 years because of his offensive proficiency. He's been in the league for how many 9 years now, and he has yet
Yeah.
to develop an offensive presence. And I don't blame him entirely for that. I blame the coaching staff in Utah as well for not keeping him accountable because he's been so successful defensively. They feel like he hasn't had a need to develop his offensive game. But now we see where the game is headed towards now, even with Cat and Joel Embiid and Jokic, the bigs have to be effective, not just from the inside, but from the outside. And they have to have some sort of a move they can go to late in the shot
I
clock.
the thing is though, if he just had any type of like, even if he was just like a pick and pop, like he'd be fine.
Anything, anything.
But I just don't see that that's his game. That's just not his game.
But you can develop that.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. And that's my gripe with Rudy is that he hasn't developed it, but he has the ability to. It's not like he's a poor player. He is good. He has talent, and so because he has talent and he hasn't developed that skill set, is is my gripe with him. But the question I want to ask you, Dre, is how does offensively how does Cat and Rudy Gobert how do they pair together?
That's the thing that I'm about. Like if they could like if Rudy could shoot, then it wouldn't have it would be a perfect thing because then you can't leave one open while you try to double the other one. And they both could play at the same time. But Rudy can't. Rudy's not a shooter. It limits floor spacing. It makes it like actually sink in. Everything gets smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it hurts. I think it's gonna hurt like Ant, and I think Ant is their best. I think Ant should be their best player in the
Mm-hmm.
next couple years, but we'll see. Um, and I just think Cat has under Cat has been down like Cat has been good, but I just thought he'd be a defensive anchor also. You have to be that as their five. You have to. You have to be the defensive anchor. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah. And if we think about the bigs that have been successful, uh, whether it be as all NBA players or championship level players, they've all been defensive anchors. Like you said, look at David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Bill Russell, Will.
Even even Draymond was the defensive anchor as as the Warriors, but he played their small ball five.
Exactly. The only big that I can think of that wasn't necessarily a defensive presence that a lot of people don't know that are it's a huge misconception is Shaq. Shaq wasn't a huge like presence defensively, he was just big. So, so Shaq's the only one I think about that wasn't extremely a huge defensive presence, but that's a good point, Trey. And speaking of just going back to what they gave up for Rudy Gobert, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was reported that Brooklyn had offered Minnesota. Sorry, Minnesota had offered Brooklyn 4 first-round picks, Cat, and Anthony Edwards.
Switch
Sorry,
that. Switch
Brooklyn.
that.
Yeah. Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's what they asked for. That's what they asked for.
Yeah. What? You want me to give up Ant Ed, who's going to be the next Dwayne Wade, Dwayne Wade with a jumper, and Cat? What? That's my whole core. Why would I give up that when I know he's gonna like he doesn't want to be in Minnesota anyway. That
Yeah,
wasn't on his list.
yeah, you're right. You're right. But Dre, even with okay, so we just look at it at face value. Is that comparable for Kevin Durant?
Um, no, because then you're not in the winning now situation. You're in the winning in 2 or 3 years situation. Because then what are you left with? You gave away everything with Cat and Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't, Dre, the issue that Brooklyn has is it doesn't matter where you trade him to, who you trade him for. There's no one in the league right now or ever that's been in the league that's comparable to Kevin Durant.
The the only thing that I can trade I think of that would be a fair trade is if they give up, and it would make me so mad if Brooklyn did this. If they gave up KD for AD plus a pick or two, that's the only fair trade that I can think of.
To the Lakers.
Yeah, there's like other than that, there's no way.
Even with that though, Dre, I mean, if you if Brooklyn trades away Kevin Durant, right, for Anthony Davis, and they trade away Kyrie Irving, and so now they have AD and Ben Simmons. I still don't know if they're a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference, man.
Uh Depends on what you put around them. I think they would dominate. I think that, but I think Ben's growth is stunted by someone who sits and will be in the paint
Yeah,
instead of floor spacing.
yeah.
So
So you're back where you started.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. We'll see.
But it can you recall ever a player, a top 15 player, requesting a trade like the way Kevin Durant has?
I think I can only recall maybe Kobe doing it. I think who probably Harden.
Top 15 all time.
Oh, all time. No, maybe only Kobe, and I think maybe I think I want to say I seen something one day where it said that what did it to not Shaq. Shaq left on him. He played out his deal.
He sure did.
Uh, but I think Shaq did it when he got traded to. Did Shaq got traded to Miami? I think Shaq did it when he got
He
traded to
did.
Miami.
He did. And
Um,
he was a little past his prime.
yeah, but he got that chip though.
No. D
Uh,
Wade got him that chip. Love you, Shaq.
all right, so Shaq, and then I think not Kareem, but Magic also opted. I had asked for a trade. I think one time,
Oh, he did.
but I don't. I think that happened, but I'm not sure. I may be wrong. But people always bring up people going through the grind and stuff like that. But there have been times like superstars have been like, "Yo, I need to get up out of here. Like, get me out of here."
Yeah. And we talked about so KD is this is probably he's got about 2-3 years left of his prime, and he's requested a trade. And this is it's uncharted territory for the NBA. So so hard for it's going to be hard for Brooklyn to find anything comparable for Kevin Durant, and also Brooklyn wants to win, needs to win now because they no longer have any draft capital. They traded that all away for James Harden. So they have to win now. So this is a really peculiar situation for Brooklyn. And the way I see it now is, and I'm glad you brought up Kobe. When Kobe requested that trade, Mr. Bus, he said, "Yo, Kobe, I'm not trading you anywhere. You're gonna stay right here in LA, and you're gonna figure this
You
out."
go. It like the only team that I think that popped up for them that they were like willing to trade to was the Bulls, but the Bulls were
Yeah,
going to trade away everything for him, and he was like, "Oh, the Bulls, nah, like just give me some players that can play."
exactly,
And then
exactly.
they ended up winning. Like you just gotta like I just don't understand, and this is to this day I still don't understand the. First of all, I don't understand the Nets and KD's relationship and why it's so broken. I don't
Mhm.
understand that. And then I don't understand the point of Kyrie leaving to go somewhere, wanting to go somewhere else because I you're the reason why Kevin came there. So I'm so confused. You want to play with Kevin Durant, like you're the one who chose to do that.
Yeah, and Dre, maybe this could be just a reflection of what makes you happy. And it's ironic because Kevin Durant actually talked about this on the podcast like a year ago in terms of happiness being a fleeting feeling. Uh, he was in Oklahoma City, and we all know about the him and the Russell Westbrook dynamic. Then he goes to Golden State, and then we know the dynamic with him and Draymond, and not being getting the credit he felt like he deserved. And now he goes to Brooklyn with his friend with his boy Kyrie, and we see what goes on with in Brooklyn. And now he wants to opt out of that. You you go through three marriages and you get three divorces. It's hard for me to think that you don't have any fault in those divorces at all. And I understand when you look at it in detail. Yes, there were underlying factors that did cause Kevin Durant to leave out of necessity. But at what point does your stardom, your leadership skills, your ability to galvanize teams and be and to change the direction of the organization, at what point does that have a positive effect and is able to cancel out any negative circumstances that's going on? Because it seems that every time that something does go awry, Kevin Kevin KD he leaves, you know, whether you agree with it or not.
It it's a rough spot to be for Brooklyn. I just don't know how they make out of this unscathed. If they pull up, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll say this: if they pull off a move where they end up on the beneficial side of the move, I will give it all to is it Sean Marks,
Mm-hmm.
their GM. I'll give it all to their GM Sean Marks and that organization, and I'd say they're brilliant.
Yeah, and Dre, we talked about this off the air. This is a really tough situation because now, if and it's unfortunate this is happening with KD because what happens now is if they get this trade done, once again, it gives credence to the players to say, okay, I don't have to honor my contract. I can just request a trade and leave whenever I want to. And it's unfortunate because KD's not that kind of player, not that type of individual, from what it seems. But we see guys like Anthony Davis and James Harden twice forced their way out of contracts, forced their way out of teams and organizations. And it starts to, and we're all about player empowerment, but it it becomes almost detrimental to a point because now fans start becoming disinterested in watching the games and loyalty goes down within the fans with the teams. And so eventually it becomes detrimental.
Uh, I don't know how it may be that we'll see how it gets impacted, but I would love to see the new how the new CBA is going to be. It's a CBA, correct?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
their collective bargaining agreement. I love to see how their CBA is going to be constructed now, especially with stuff like this happening multiple times in multiple years. Woo! Hey, watch. We'll see what happens, man.
I get
We'll see how much player power they get after this.
I guarantee you, Dre, there's going to be some sort of clause or rule that is called the Kyrie Irving rule that talks about players like taking breaks, mental breaks. I'm promising, man, there's going to be some sort of rule that revolves around Kyrie. I promise
Yeah.
you, man, there's going to be. But Dre, I mean, if you if you had to ask me as of today, as of right now, what's today, July 9th, what's going to happen with KD and Kyrie in the Brooklyn situation? They're not going to trade KD because you just can't trade him for anything. I think KD's going to at least play one more year in Brooklyn, and I, they're not going to trade Kyrie Irving either.
No.
If you ask me as of today, as of right now, that's what I would go with. They're both these guys are going to be playing next year in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And all the I don't want to like watch. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure they're gonna find a way to make it work. I just don't think I just don't think they'll play out the next 3 or 4 years. That won't play out well.
No, no,
I think I give it 2 years and then it's over with.
no, yeah. But I do say at least one more year, and then we
Yeah.
get a healthy Ben Simmons, and now we're maybe talking about Brooklyn, maybe being another
You know who I'm
tiebreaker.
talking about right now. You know who we're talking about right now.
Oh man, oh man. Oh, by the way, before we get into summer league talk, John Wall signing with the Clippers. Great.
The biggest bag chaser. Hey, get your bag, young man. Get your money. This is what I'm talking about. Players getting their money. Get your money. That's what I'm talking about.
A great pickup for the Clippers. Either way, if you had John Wall or Reggie Jackson coming off the bench, that's a great spot to be in for the Clippers. Possibly vault them into the best team in the Western Conference with a healthy Kawhi.
Uh, yeah, I think they show a lot of show a lot of promise. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to say I got my dubs repeating, but you got to show me a better full team, a better team that can beat that can beat them.
If you guys can replace what you lost in Otto Porter and Gary Payton II, then I would agree with that. But until you guys find something to, make up for the depth that you guys lost in free agency, I'd have to go with the Clippers as the best team in the Western Conference.
Yeah, but I would say this: people don't realize what's going to happen. Wiseman comes back, so now we have a better defense. We have another defensive anchor and a low post presence, also a lob threat. Um, and then I think this is a year for Kaminga and Moody to step up now that they've tasted a little bit of that that championship feeling, and they got a lot of clock in the playoffs, which is really crazy to me.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, so they get that, and then I'm wondering who we pick up in free agency, because it's gonna be a big one.
You guys picked up Dante DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo, but does DiVincenzo defensively lock down? But he's a better I would say better offensive threat than Gary Payton.
Yeah, but not as good as a shooter. He's comparable to Otto Porter. Then he's
Yeah.
Otto Porter. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see about that one.
Listen, you're sitting right, bro, because you got the hat on right now. You're just worried about.
We are. You should have seen me in my house screaming, throwing things around.
No, I did. I would not have wanted to be there, man. Not at all. Not at all. That's why I didn't call you, man. When you won, I didn't want to hear it. I was in my hater mode right there.
You 100% probably had Boston winning. That's the funny thing about it.
I did. We talked about it. I definitely had Boston winning in 7. But Dre, enough free agency talk, man. Let's talk about the summer league, man. I know you're a genius, a wonderkind, a savant when it comes to scouting these young players. What have you seen so far, man? What are your thoughts on the summer league so
far? The top players are playing well. They're actually playing really good. And they're playing better than what some. Actually, they're living up to the expectations for the summer for some guys. The top 5 picks are doing really well, actually. Holy shit. So is it I want to say Keegan Murray. I think he was a 4th pick. He's played really well. Chet played great. Even on a down game, he still had a double double, and affected the game in a different way. And then Jabari Smith and Paolo Banchero both played really well. Well, Smith did get this. I don't think he scored as much, but that's going to happen. But I think that he's going to be good, man. I also was sold. This is when I was kind of sold on Banchero. When someone told me, "Oh, he's 6'10" and he's 250, but he moves like a guard," and I was like, "Oh, so you got Ben Simmons," but there's like, "Oh no, but he actually like hits shots. Like he's actually like offensively gifted." I said, "Oh, you got Michael Beasley at that point, like a really good, really
Mm,
bigger size Michael Beasley."
yeah,
Just I was like, "Yeah, that's tough. He's tough, man. He's a good
that's
good pick."
that's a good comparison, man. And we never quite covered the draft, man. But just real quick, who do you think had the best draft this year?
By far, I think the Pistons had a really good draft. A sleeper that I think people will, I don't know if it'll be a year or two, but I think people are not going to realize was Jaden Hardy, who I think is really good. He he actually got taken in the second round, and at first they were talking about him being a top 5 pick this year,
Hmm.
but he had some struggles. But he's 17. Like I expect people who are 17 years old to struggle in the G League. So um, he had a good. He had a. I think he had a showing yesterday. So, hey, there's a lot of good players that were taken, man. And people were saying this is a down draft or they didn't like this draft that much. I think this is a better draft for a lot of future role players and a couple stars. I think are going to be really picked out of this draft.
Mm, mm. I agree. I agree. And there's from what I've seen so far, yeah, there's been a lot of talent in the summer league, and it got me thinking about some previous players that had great performances in the summer league, man. And one guy that really came to mind is Tyrique Evans. I just want to read his stats real quick. Tyreek averaged 25, 8, and 3. Sorry. 25, 8, and 5 during his time in summer league during the 2010 season with the Sacramento Kings. So for me, growing up, that was the best summer league performance I ever seen was Tyreek Evans. What about you, Trey? What is the best summer league performance you've ever seen?
Uh, who was it? I'm trying to think. Trying to think. Wasn't the Draymond and them? No, that's a hard one, low key, because I've watched a lot of summer league. Um, oh, I got one. You guys may laugh at this, and I thought he'd be. I swear to God, I thought he'd be an all star. It's Chris Dunn.
Wow.
He was he was going crazy in the summer league, and I was just like, this dude's about all star. He's about to be a monster in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. He got to Minnesota, got in their schemes, got doing everything, and it just wasn't a fit. I don't know.
Now he did have a really great performance in summer league. He did. You're right, Trey. Because he matched up against D'Angelo Russell a couple game or one game. And he did have a lot of promise. People were talking about him possibly being rookie of the year once that
Yeah,
summer league ended. So that's understandable, man, for sure. But Dre, I want to talk about the WNBA because there's
yeah,
some great talent there, obviously. And for those who don't know, Brianna Stewart recently just signed a shoe deal with Puma, and now she has her own signature shoe coming out called the the Puma Stewies. And
cool.
it got me thinking, Trey, how many WNBA players have had shoe deals, over the course of the 25, 26 years since the NBA, the WNBA's
Yeah,
been around? So if you had to guess, Trey, if you had to guess, how many WNBA players would you say have had shoe deals?
maybe I would say what 9?
Yep. 9.
Was that
Exactly.
there's
Yep.
9 on the rock? Oh, wow, I didn't
Yep.
even.
One, two,
That's a
three,
complete
four,
guess.
five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Brianna's the 10th, but They had 9 previously. And okay, if you had to guess one player, you just know for certain one player had a shoe deal. Who would you guess?
Diana Taurasi.
Yeah. Yep. Diana Taurasi
Yeah.
had the Nike Air Taurasi's and the Shox DT in '05 and '06. Okay. Other players that had shoe deals, in my opinion, the best WNBA player of all time, Cheryl Swoops. She had the Nike Air
Okay.
Swoops from 90. She had 7 versions. So from 95 to '02, she had a shoe deal. Rebecca Lobo had a shoe deal or had her own shoe in '97. Lisa Leslie had her own shoe in '98.
Kind of figured that.
Your girl, Dawn Staley, had her own shoe of 2 years, '98 and '99. Cynthia Cooper had her own shoe in '99. Nikki McCrae had her own shoe in 1999. The second best player of all time, Shamika Holtzclaw, had her own shoe for 2 years.
Speaking kind of wild. You kind of wild with saying the second best player of all time. Like,
but just off of raw talent. Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Sorry.
yeah.
And Candace Parker had her own shoe deal, our home signature shoe for 2 years, from 2010 to 2011.
That's kind of wow. It's kind of shocking that they only had. I thought Candace Parker would have had more signature shoes come out then. I don't know why.
And I was thinking the same thing, bro. And I did some more research. And last year and this current season, she's been promoting a new design for her shoe. So Adidas is thinking about coming out with another version of her shoe for next season. So she's been basically wearing these mock designs for Adidas.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, you know what? I would have one. What's her name? Is it Sabrina Ionesco? That's her
Ionesco?
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's in a New York is a big market, but not for the WNBA. Seattle's a bigger market for
Yeah.
WNBA. But Sabrina is a great player. And when it comes to these shoe deals, bro, it's about how you market these players. Are you able to market them? Like with Breonna Stewart, she went to UConn, drafted #1 overall. But so it's the same as Sabrina, but like it's a little easier to market Sabrina or to market Breonna, sorry, as opposed to Sabrina. As of right now. But I mean, Sabrina's an all-star this year, though. She made the all-star team, so maybe that'll help.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
But Dre, that's all we have today on the show. Love your insight, man. You kill it, man. I swear, you just kill it every time we're on here, bro.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. But Dre, before we sign off, man, are there any shout outs that you want to give?
Shout out to Two Man Podcast. Those are my brothers over there. Love them. A lot of basketball insight. Probably got to do something with them one day.
Yeah.
Shout out my guy, Lord in the Stitch. Still one of the best clothing lines that I've seen. And he's coming out with some new sets this upcoming. I want to say fall, actually. And then shout out to the fans and shout out to you, Bashan. It's a great show. I love seeing you again, man. Smiling and giggling.
Don't let him fool you guys. He talks the most trash to me when we're off the air. So don't let him fool you, man. He's acting nice now, but nah, Dre, I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else, man. But shout out to the Earn Figures podcast. If you're looking to get into the tech field, they're definitely people you want to get in contact with. Shout out to the Tapped In podcast. If you want to hear more content on what it's like to be a Black man in America and how to be successful, they have great content right there. Also, Dre, shout out to my cousin Shavar Reynolds Jr. He just signed his first contract to go play professionally in the Netherlands, so I'm really excited for him.
Oh, shout out to him. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. And shout out to you, Dre, and shout out to the fans, man. Hearing your guys' feedback and hearing your guys' opinions and how you feel about the show and how big of an impact it's had on you guys. It makes me grateful, honestly. But Dre, that's all we have for today. We'll be back with another episode within the coming weeks. But if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, uh, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on all streaming platforms, and be sure to check out our Instagram live show as well. Like I said, we'll be back in next week with more content. Continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and until next time, guys, peace.